Hello, welcome to the After Bedtime Podcast. I am your host, HP Burrito. And on tonight's episode, I'm going to talk to you guys about chaos. And nothing is more chaotic than metabolics, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for watching tonight's episode of the After Bedtime Podcast. And like I said earlier, we're going to talk about chaos. And this episode is pretty much inspired by Alex from Living in a Conspiracy YouTube channel. They're a cool little channel. I like watching them. They got pretty cool videos about different questions about our universe and things like that. And in the last video, they gave me a shout out. So I'm giving them a shout out in this video. And because pretty much like we had a little comment thing going on in the comment section of that video, a little dialogue going back and forth. And he's discussing about Radio Nautica and these quantum entanglement, things like that. And he's going to be talking about that in his next video. And it kind of had me thinking about that here of recently, just, between me and him going back and forth. And then today I'm rearranging my room, my office here. And as I'm moving all my electronic devices and unplugging wires and things, and just that bunch of wires just entangled up. It's like, how the heck do these wires get entangled up in such a bunch like this just with time and being left alone? Boggles my mind. And so that right there is, I don't need any more proof of quantum entanglement, superposition, and chaos theory than looking at that bunch of entangled cords to my electronic devices, okay? How wires become so deeply entangled with just time and space not being observed is amazing and answers so many of my questions as it goes to quantum entanglement, but also gives me so many new questions about the process of leaving the universe. It's just, if you leave the universe alone, strange things happen. and but we proceed with one small step into the unknown realm of the quantum dimension just by looking at a bunch of chords. And I'm going to explain what I mean by all this right here, right now, okay? There's three theories that I'm talking about here, okay? The three theories that I'm talking about is the quantum entanglement itself, superpositioning, and chaos theory, okay? Now, let's start with the first one, quantum entanglement, okay? In short, quantum entanglement means that multiple particles are linked together in a way such that the measurement of one particle's quantum state determines the other particle's quantum state. Okay? Now, this connection between these two particles is not dependent on location of each particle within space. So they can be as close as they need to be as they are, say a millimeter apart, or they could be miles and miles apart. And I'm talking about from here to say 300,000 miles away. Across the world, or even into space, on the other side of the galaxy, even though we have all that space, that is irrelevant when it comes to the quantum entanglement of two particles. And the best example that I have of this is pretty much like what I'm going through now, living far away from my family. I moved 1,300 miles away from, say, example, my sister. She lives in one state across the country. I live in another state. And her particle, her essence of being is in a wave state for me, and so is everybody else in my family, because they live in somewhere else that I don't see them and I'm not observing them. So they can be anywhere. Anything could be happening. They could be alive. They could be dead. They could be here. They could be there. They could be anywhere. I'm starting to sound like Dr. Seuss here. But the moment I call them, let's say I call them and video chat them. I do a video call. And I see, like again, my sister. I video call my sister and I spoke with her. And I see where she's at. It's pretty much it's taking the measurement. I'm seeing her surroundings. I'm seeing where she's at. And when I called her initially, I thought she's just going to be home. She doesn't really go out anywhere. Well, when I called her, she was out in the store buying things for her that she needed. And it was just funny because now that I've called her and I can see her with that video connection to the video, I've collapsed the quantum entanglement. I've collapsed the wave itself, and now we have two particles, her particle, which is her being, and my particle being, and we're observing each other. And that's kind of how quantum entanglement works. And that's kind of crazy because that's like, you always say you have connections with people that you care about and you love, like in your family. And I do love my sister, and I do have a connection with her. So it's kind of crazy how me calling her is connecting us to our quantum connection. I don't know. I don't even know if this makes sense or if I'm even using it right, but for me, that's the best example I've got of how quantum entanglement works. You have two particles far away, and once there's a measurement between those two particles of either one particle, then you know the other state of the particle. Because it's either going to be one way or the other. Pretty much. That's what it comes down to in a scientific term. Now, the other theory that I want to talk about was called superpositioning. And the best thing about superpositioning, it is also kind of talks about quantum entanglement also, is like Schrodinger's cat. The Schrodinger's cat thought test is a theory about how if we take a cat, we put it inside of a box. And inside this box, we have a timer. Since I'm connecting to a hammer that's hanging over a vial of nuclear waste. Okay, now, if we close this box off, we seal it, and we don't look in this box, the entire cat and everything inside this box collapses from being a particle into a wave because we're no longer observing this cat. So now this cat exists in all states. It's alive, it's dead, all at the same time. And until we open that box to collapse that wave function, we don't know if the cat is alive or dead because technically it's both, and you're right either way. And that's what the thought test was back when Schrodinger first came up with this theory. And there's so many other people that talk about that and go into much detail. Just do a search for it on the web, Schrodinger's cat, and someone will explain it to you much better than I can. But see, this also kind of explains the wires in a sense. Like we're back to square one with the electronic devices wires. When we set the wires out originally, we put them all on there together and this and that, and we just leave them alone and we stretch them out, and within time, by not observing these wires, they get tangled up and they get all wrapped around each other. And sometimes you look and like, how the heck did this cable get wrapped around this other cable in such a way when nothing is touching these things? They don't get moved. The devices don't move. It's just, how does things like this happen? And that's the part that kind of like that of the superposition that just is amazing to me. It's like how we have proof of that just by looking at wires after not looking at wires for so long. You know what I'm saying? It's a weird theory, but it sort of makes sense in the way these wires actually are. And one explanation for how some things can get entangled, in my opinion, could be chaos theory. Now, chaos theory is a field of study in mathematics. It's also the third and final thing that we're talking about tonight when it comes to chaos itself. The chaos theory itself. Now, it's a field of study of mathematics. Okay, that's what chaos theory first started out in. But however, it has been found many applications in several other disciplines, even from sociology to everything. Okay, and one of the things that I've noticed is that when it comes to chaos theory, what it was pretty much talked about is that you can take a system of whatever, so let's pick for our example today, our system is going to be our electronic devices, okay? The system itself is that we put it there and we left it alone. Now, within time, things happen that just randomly occur to cause things to happen. So, like, for example, in my, my room here, I have kids, I have animals, I have a cat. So, that right there is just chaos, which is also my life, So, we have all these things that say, if the cat runs around the house, which she does, and say she rubs against the wire, and maybe that can twist and turn it, well, that's one random event that happens when I'm not paying attention that could tangle up these wires. So, it's just normal life equals randomness, So how life is just random events. And that's pretty much how chaos theory is. Just it's a calculated way to predict the way a system is going to work. But the one thing that doesn't okay, that's the thing about this theory. It's kind of hard to explain. The one thing about chaos theory is that life is random, and if you can expect anything at all from any system, is that it's unpredictable, and that's what it comes down to. You can predict unpredictability, pretty much is what it comes down to. But that's my thing. So it's like we have these wires that are randomly being twisted and combined and put together into a way that just all entangle up. But you also have answers like, again, we have a cat that runs around the house that could be running, touching these wires and just rubbing against it. Or I have kids that are running around this house and could be grabbing wires and messing with wires when I'm not looking. So that you have these different things that can cause entanglement of these wires. But because, again, I haven't observed them, I can't confirm any of that. So we go back to the first, rule of superpositioning and quantum entanglement. And that's just life. and this is how I find proof of quantum entanglement and superpositioning and this chaos theory in my life, because of a bunch of cords that go to, HDMI cables. I've got network cables here. I've got cables to the PlayStation for my headphones, for controllers, for all these other things. And all these wires are entangled up into ways that I have no way of figuring out how this cable got wrapped around this cable a certain way that I have to sit there for 10 minutes to unknot all my cables. Anyway, that's enough rambling about this stuff, all right? This is chaos theory, and it is a headache, guys. I need your help. Tell me what you think down below in the comment section. That's what it's there for. Let's keep the discussion going, what you guys think about all this, all right? This has been a crazy topic for tonight, and I appreciate you guys watching. Like the video if you if you enjoyed the content. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time after bedtime. Good night, everybody.